It is a pleasure to be here, albeit a little late. You know, you learn how to let go and let God, because getting all in a twit is not going to make it any better. So I'm going to let, I think Stephanie have you done all the necessary, okay, introductions? As I was preparing for this, I realized this morning that you were not going to be ready to get up and move. And so I did some research and found that we actually have a way of walking a labyrinth while being still. And as you know, we sent you instructions out to print off this labyrinth called the Cretan Labyrinth and bring your coloring utensils. So let me just start off with, many of you have already walked the labyrinth at the house of prayer. And it is a symbolic pathway. Sometimes you look at it as a maze, but it's not a maze. The difference is there is a going in and a coming out. It is not where you will get lost. And you kind of wonder why that is. It's very directed. And in walking a labyrinth, many people look at it as an exercise in self-healing. And that's what I would like you to think of it right now, a meditation exercise in becoming what we in Hebrew call menuchat hanefesh, finding equanimity internally. So it represents growth and transformation, confers a sense of clarity, peace, and serenity. It's as if you're walking toward your core, your inner core, and the center of your soul. And it's a watering hole for the spirit and a mirror of the soul. So this can be a way for you to reconnect with your soul. And it can lead to a personal revelation. There are twists and turns, as you know, and that's our lives. So it's symbolic of our lives. Now, labyrinths have been around, as you know, since ancient times. And during the Middle Ages, nearly 25% of cathedrals had them. And we know we have one, and there are many churches, I think, here in the state have one inside their buildings. There's no one right way to prepare, but the main thing is to focus your attention inward. You can choose a specific mantra or meditation or a scripture, or you can just go in without any agenda. It might be that what I would suggest, because of how we're going to do this, that you stay open. Just stay open to the experience and let whatever revelations come to you. I did a similar meditation this past spring with an artist, and it wasn't with a labyrinth, but it was very similar. And so just let go right now. Now, before we begin, what I'd like to do is share some information about Judaism from the labyrinth perspective. And the reason I want to do that is because we're all connected. In the Middle Ages, the Jews adopted a labyrinth. And so what I would like for Stephanie to do is show a picture of the first one, and it's usually identified with Jericho. So if you'll share that with everybody, I'd appreciate it, Stephanie, sorry. Okay. Yes, there we go. Does everybody see this? It's pull it down. There you go. This is a very traditional labyrinth that dates back to the 13th century. You will notice that there is obviously an entryway, but it's all about Jericho. And you wonder why Jericho, the biblical city that stood between the children of Israel and their entry into the promised land. In the book of Joshua, the warrior angel speaks to the Israelite leader Joshua, who tells the people to go forward, but they must first march in 7 circuits, traveling in a circle around the city. On the 7th circuit, they shout and blow horns, and we've all heard this, the walls fall. And only then can they go up straight ahead. So Jericho in Judaism stands for stumbling blocks, obstacles, the challenges we have to face if we are to go forward in life. The angel illustrates for us that the way past our obstacles is rarely straightforward. Often we find ourselves going in circles or having to make detours. And the best way to our goals usually is not the shortest way. So what does this have to do with our labyrinth? Medieval Jews who looked at the Jericho story imagined that Jericho was not just a walled city, but a 7-circuit labyrinth. That God had in fact asked the Israelites to walk the labyrinth to penetrate into the city and into the good land beyond it. So thus was born the Jericho labyrinth, a decorative motif found in medieval manuscripts of a 7-looped labyrinth, usually illustrated as a walled city and always labeled as Jericho. So in terms of Jews, the story of Jericho and how it has been interpreted is as a metaphor for life. It's full of reversals. Sometimes may take you further away for a while, as a labyrinth does. So if you will go ahead, Stephanie, and show us the second labyrinth, which is from the 14th century. Second. Okay. There we go. This one actually is the Taj. This is the Taj labyrinth, and it is oh dear. Well, here it is. Here's a beautiful one. This is a map like you see of Jericho but it's from the 14th century. And see the blue in it. That is the pathway. And the color of the sky in mystical Judaism is symbolic of peace, but also of above. So you see how the blue has been used, and you follow that path all the way through. This is beautiful. Going to the next one, it is the Taj Torah, the Jericho Labyrinth. But actually, this one, if you'll notice, is only 6 circuits. This is from a copy of the Taj Torah produced in Yemen in the 15th century. This is one of only 3 known Hebrew manuscripts with illustrated carpet pages. So they're red thick lines with a black double line, you see. And let's move on to the last one, because we need to get to our meditation practice. This one is from the 16th century, from one of the great rabbis, Rabbi Moshe Cordovero. He's for shorthand called the Ramak. And in this one, the center is not Jericho, it is Jerusalem, where the Holy of Holiness exists in our spiritual imagination. The biblical Abraham called the city Yireh, meaning seeing, and that was blessed by the king of Shalem, meaning wholeness. So you have seeing, Yiru, and Shalem, meaning wholeness, completeness. So we go from inner wilderness to wholeness. And so it's really Jerusalem is not a city of stone, but a state of mind and spirit. And I'll just read in English a poem written about this. And we know about Jacob crying out, "How awesome is this place? Why, this is the house of God." And a poem we can say is, "Let us bless the source of our turning. Let us bless the circles of our learning, renewing our lives in the cycles of the seasons. May we be blessed in our returning." And let us say together, Amen. So now, if you will bring us back to the main, I'd like you to take your copy of the Cretan Labyrinth, and you notice the instructions on the bottom. We will first spend, and I'm looking at our time, we will first spend approximately 7 minutes coloring. And I'm going to ask you to color deliberately, slowly, and just let your mind go. This is just moving slowly with your hand, with your color. Pick whatever color you want, whatever appeals to you at that moment, and color it however you would like to. And I'm going to stay silent as we do this, and ask Stephanie to, at 8:08, tell us it's time.
It is time. Annabelle, you're muted.
I want you to take your non-dominant finger, pointer finger, which if you're right-handed, that would mean you're left. If you're left-handed, that would mean you're right. If you're ambidextrous, pick which one is the least dominant. And I want you to breathe in, quiet your mind, relax. And now place your non-dominant finger at the entry. And as you move it slowly, just move very slowly through the maze. And when you get to the center, take a pause there and listen to your soul. And do all of this very slowly. We will time this again at 8 minutes. Thank you.
It's been 8 minutes.
Thank you. If you haven't finished, you are going very slowly, please come back to the group. This is something you can do again and again. And so I want to ask, we are going to have some time for processing now. And if you would like to open your camera and share with us your reactions first to the process of coloring, and then to the process of walking the labyrinth with your non-dominant pointer finger. So please feel free to go on gallery view. And if you will all, if anyone wants to talk about their reaction, that will be, I would appreciate it. I think it's important for each of us to realize there's no one way, but I'd really like to hear your reactions to the practice. Catherine, if you want to unmute yourself.
As I was doing it, I thought, oh, I'm not going to have enough time to finish. And then I thought, that's how I always think of my practice, especially when I have a particularly troublesome meditation period where my mind is just all over everywhere and it seems like it never heard of silence. Then I think, oh, there's someplace to get here in this practice, and I'm not going to get there. I'm not going to live long enough to get there. And I just thought, do I live my whole life thinking that I have to hurry through now because there's someplace to be that I'm not going to get to? It really is, something to ponder, recognition to ponder. And thank you so much. And in fact, I didn't finish, and that's okay. Maybe that's even best.
Yes, I am so glad you shared that, because it does bring out things that we may not know about, or we may know subconsciously, but we may not know consciously about ourselves. Part of me, as I was going through it, wanted to hurry up. And I said, no, stay where you're at. Be in the present moment. When I colored, I'll show you all what I did. And that is my journey, usually, which is going in, just making it longer and longer because I'm trying to figure out where I'm going. But the biggest thing was when, you're using your pointer finger and really focusing on that present moment where the finger is and moving it slowly, I think is a great tool for slowing down internally. Anybody else want to share their reactions?
Well, I would just like to say one more thing. If you didn't read the
Sure.
chat, I think it was Doug somebody posted, oh, I don't know, when something gets in the way, it is the way. I just thought this pathway of hindrances is the way, I guess. But thank
That
you
is-
for posting that.
That is true. That is very true. Yes, and the obstacles are there. And it's like even starting this session, we had a lot of obstacles. But the idea was to just keep moving. Don't get, as I say, I use this word twit about it. It will come together. And yes, we got cut short a little bit in the practice, but you can do this on your own. And for those who feel they're just not meditators, this is a great way to have your eyes open and focused on something so that you can, if a thought comes in your head or you just release it and keep going. So it allows a really laser focus and can help with the meditation practice when there is no movement. Anyone else? Well, I have been so blessed to be with you today, and I hope you will use this in the future. The walls of Jericho are very symbolic, and just today, just for an example, for everything that comes your way that feels like a turn or an obstacle, or we don't go through life in a straight line. And I would urge you, as you address and go through the day and through the week, please reflect on your experience today and be grateful for what you have been given to journey. Be grateful for every obstacle and for the strength. That's another interesting thing, the strength to carry on. I always love the British saying, be calm and carry on. Shalom, salam, peace. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, everybody. I did put the link to the survey in the chat, and I hope you all have a great day.